death of Queen Elizabeth I. The iconic monarch of the Elizabethan era became the epitome of beauty standards during the 16th century. Her pale and flawless complexion was revered as a symbol of nobility and perfection, setting the benchmark for feminine allure. However, this ideal of beauty came at a grave cost. Elizabeth's pursuit of perfection led her to the use of cosmetics containing toxic substances such as lead and mercury, which not only harmed her skin, but potentially contributed to her eventual demise. One of the most prominent cosmetics that she used was a makeup composed of lead and vinegar, which she applied to her face and neck, resulting in a ghostly appearance that became her signature look. Furthermore, Elizabeth adorned her lips with a stain, which was made from a mineral containing mercury, giving her the iconic red lips depicted in numerous portraits. Over time, the prolonged use of these toxic substances caused irreversible damage to her skin. The lead corroded her complexion, while mercury poisoning led to symptoms such as memory loss and depression. Despite being aware of the risks, Elizabeth persisted in wearing her makeup for extended periods of time, exacerbating the harm inflicted upon her skin. Even the process of removing her makeup posed further dangers, potentially exposing her to additional mercury. The tragic consequences of Elizabeth's pursuit of beauty are underscored by the accounts of individuals who praise the effectiveness of mercury-based makeup removers, unaware of the harm that they were causing. These removers, while leaving the skin feeling soft, were actually stripping away layers of tissue, causing significant damage. Additionally, Elizabeth's early years were marred by a battle with smallpox, which left her with permanent scars on her face. In a society where appearance was heavily scrutinized, Elizabeth went to great lengths to conceal her blemishes, fearing that they would diminish her stature as a ruler. Throughout her life, Elizabeth employed various strategies to maintain her image of youthful perfection. She prohibited unflattering portraits of herself and relied on skilled artists to depict her in a flawless manner, as evidenced by the famous Darnley portrait. However, the realities of aging proved inevitable, with Elizabeth resorting to wearing wigs to conceal her thinning hair. Despite her efforts, the Earl of Essex's revelation of her balding head in 1599 served as a stark reminder of the passage of time. In her final months, Elizabeth's health declined rapidly, yet she adamantly refused to rest, fearing it would signify her demise. Instead, she endured standing for long hours, supported by pillows strategically placed by her attendants. On the 24th of March 1603, Queen Elizabeth I passed away, with potential causes of death including cancer or pneumonia, exacerbated by years of exposure to toxic cosmetics. The aftermath of her death was marked by speculation and controversy, with accounts of her body allegedly bursting open in her coffin due to the buildup of noxious vapours. While the exact cause of Elizabeth's death remains uncertain, her tragic fate serves as a poignant reminder of the dangers inherent in the pursuit of beauty. The use of toxic cosmetics dates back centuries, with evidence from ancient civilizations like the Romans, yet their poisonous nature was not officially recognized until after Elizabeth's death. Despite advancements in understanding the risks associated with certain beauty practices, the quest for beauty at any cost persists to this day. The story of Queen Elizabeth I's beauty regime serves as a cautionary tale, highlighting the enduring legacy of pain and sacrifice in the name of beauty throughout human history. The funeral of Queen Elizabeth I. Queen Elizabeth I, one of the most iconic figures in British history, left behind a legacy that has intrigued and inspired generations. Her passing marked the end of an era, and her funeral was a spectacle that drew masses of all walks of life, reflecting her impact on her subjects and the wider world. On the 28th of April, a little over a month after her death, Elizabeth I's final journey through the streets of London to Westminster Abbey was not just a procession, but a vivid tableau of the era she dominated. The events of that day and the subsequent handling of her resting place weave a fascinating narrative about royalty, remembrance, and the respect accorded to one of England's most formidable rulers. Elizabeth I's funeral took place on the 28th of April, a little over a month after she died. Her body was carried through King Street, now called Whitehall, in a large parade all the way through to Westminster Abbey, where she was buried. Hundreds of people joined the procession, ranging from ordinary men and women to trumpeters, Elizabeth's household staff, knights and nobles. The Lady Marquess of Northampton led the procession as the chief mourner. Westminster was packed with people everywhere, on the streets, in houses, and even on rooftops. Everyone came to watch the funeral, and there was a lot of crying and sadness, unlike anything people had seen before. One of the interesting things about the funeral was the drawings that showed what the procession looked like. There was a model of the Queen, dressed in her official robes, complete with a crown and sceptre, resting on her coffin. The coffin was draped in purple velvet and pulled by 4 black-dressed horses. Above the coffin, a canopy was held up, and noblemen carried 12 banners around it, representing the symbols of the House of York, but not those of the House of Lancaster. Elizabeth I died and was buried with much ceremony. Her funeral service was led by Dean Andrews, and she was initially laid to rest in a vault with her grandparents, Henry VII and Elizabeth of York, at Henry VII's chapel. But in 1607 her remains were moved to be with her half-sister Mary, marking the unusual case of a Protestant princess buried next to her Catholic sister. This move cost 46 shillings and 4 pence, according to Westminster Abbey's records. Elizabeth's successor, King James I, spent quite a lot, about £1,485, more than a nobleman's yearly income, on a white marble monument for her. Interestingly, this monument was smaller than the one he later made for his own mother, Mary, Queen of Scots. Originally, the statue on Elizabeth's monument was painted in vibrant colours, and even the lions at its corners were gilded, though no colour remains today. There's more to discover about Elizabeth's resting place thanks to Arthur Stanley from the 1880s. He was allowed by Queen Victoria to examine all the tombs in the Abbey, a place usually closed to the public. Stanley's exploration revealed insights into the hidden crypts, including the one of the Tudor tombs. In his search, Stanley found a narrow vault with 2 coffins stacked, one on top of the other. He described Elizabeth's coffin in detail. It was well preserved, decorated with a Tudor rose, her initials ER, and the year 1603. The coffin was crafted from oak and elm, and parts of its red silk velvet covering still clung to the wood. This find is a unique glimpse into the final resting place of Elizabeth I, lying directly above her sister Mary. It's a remarkable story that sheds light on the hidden history beneath Westminster Abbey. Thanks to the efforts of Queen Victoria and Mr. Stanley, this adventure into the past is just the beginning, as there are more secrets to uncover about the royal burials in future explorations. The grandeur and solemnity of Queen Elizabeth I's funeral procession, her burial, and the subsequent discovery of her final resting place offer a window into the rituals and reverence of royal funerals. The touching story of her reburial alongside her half-sister Mary I and the creation of a monument in her memory highlights the complex relationships and political dynamics of the Tudor period. Thanks to historical accounts and the diligent work of historians, we gain a deeper understanding of the significance of these events. These explorations into the past not only honour Queen Elizabeth I's memory, but also enrich our understanding of the cultural and historical context of her reign. As we continue to uncover details about the royal burials at Westminster Abbey, each discovery adds a new layer to the rich tapestry of British history.